Welcome back to Screenwriting in Paradise. Today we're going to talk about Stanley Kubrick's great film, Full Metal Jacket. And before we start, I just want to do a little intro where I inform you that I'm really fortunate because I actually am really good friends with the gentleman who produced this wonderful movie. His name's Jan Harlan. He is Stanley Kubrick's producer. So he produced Full Metal Jacket and the second half of all the films Stanley made. He also happens to be his brother-in-law. So they're very, very tight. And that's where I'm really fortunate because I've done a lot of these workshops, these Screenwriting in Paradise workshops with Yen, and been able to, just hang out with him and have some really great personal time and hear lots of personal stories that, not only about him and his family and his experiences, but also working with Stanley. So it's been really, really fortunate for me and hearing about some of these things that most folks don't get to hear about. Last weekend, I was actually with Yen at one of these workshops up in Norway, a place called the Actors Hub. Wonderful people. They sponsored us to come up there, and we actually live streamed with Vincent D'Onofrio. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He is the actor who plays Leonard, or Pyle, at the beginning of Full Metal Jacket. This very tough introduction, this very tough introductory sequence, rather. But he is the Marine who goes off the deep end at the beginning. That's Vincent D'Onofrio. And wonderful guy. So we actually went to a cinema where we had a bunch of people, obviously a large audience who came to see not only Full Metal Jacket, but have the pleasure of being able to do a Q&A with the producer, Jan Harlan, my friend, and Vincent. So it was fascinating and informational. But again, that's kind of good luck I have, and I'll try to maybe refer to a little bit of that as we go through this, as you're my co-pilot on this wonderful little storytelling journey again into one of the master storytellers in film, Stanley Kubrick. So another thing I always talk with my students or folks at the workshops about is this thing we do in fiction, especially in filmmaking, which is creating fate, right? We're always creating fate because we only have so much time on this earth, or on this fictional earth with our characters. So we have to make things happen, and that's fate, right? So how do you create fate? And Stanley Kubrick was absolutely the most meticulous master of this. That's why his films all took like 5 years to make. Really, he really put his heart and soul and brain into every film he made. And as a little case study, and again, not to be scientific, it's more of a wow moment. Let's look at Full Metal Jacket, because the beginning is full of fate creation. It's really, really interesting. So, without further ado, and me rambling, let's get into Full Metal Jacket. Let's get small. Ready? Dink. Put me over here somewhere. Maybe bigger. Let's see. And of course, the movie is called Full Metal Jacket. Great title. Love great titles for films. Excellent title. So let's just jump right into it. So Full Metal Jacket, if you haven't seen it, this is no spoiler because this is the introduction. You can go watch it. I'd recommend it. Go watch it first. Stop this right now and go watch it. Otherwise, let's hop into it. And it starts off with about 20 young cadets, or future Marines, I guess, or possible Marines, getting their hair shaved off, literally. And this is the second guy, I think, out of like 20 during these opening credits. And that is actually Vincent right there, AKA Private Pyle, getting his hair shaved off. And the importance of this, and again, I heard this from Yen as well, because he is the producer of the film, like I said, so he knows some of the behind the scenes, is of course, only Kubrick would think of this, but having these boys, hair shaved off and then filming it just one after another. Like, check it out, there's another one, another one, another one. There's Matthew Modine, who's the star of the film, or the hero of the film. But when they have their hair shaved off, it's, erasing their identity, so to speak, right? It's making them all the same. They are all expendable because this is about war, folks, about killing. And again, that's what Kubrick was so wonderful at in storytelling. And, he made arguably two of the greatest war films ever, anti-war films, really. And the first was, of course, Dr. Strangelove, which, as Yen pointed out, Stanley had told him, I believe, that it was originally supposed to be a serious film, about the nuclear holocaust, and Stanley realized that actually it was impossible. You cannot make it serious. It has to be sardonic, not a comedy, but sardonic, I think, is the best word. Tongue in cheek, but the message is still ominous and clear. And really, Kubrick is maybe the only person who could pull that off. And certainly that film, Dr. Strangelove with Peter Sellers, and then this wonderful film, Full Metal Jacket, which is equally as good or far better than amazing films about war out there that are normally anti-war, like Apocalypse Now, Deer Hunter, incredible film. Obviously, Saving Private Ryan, some great older films like Bridge Over the River Kwai or Great Escape, Steve McQueen. I mean, the list goes on and on. We love war movies, but to really get under people's skin and make them realize the futility of war is really, I think what obviously Kubrick was aiming at, and I think most people who make war films, it's about the horror of war. It's not celebrating it, but it's, oh my gosh. And why do we do this to ourselves over and over and over again? And in the beginning of this film, Kubrick makes these folks cogs in the machine, right? And that's why, again, they go for 18-year-olds in the Marines, and they put them in uniforms, try to keep them all on the same wavelength, not thinking about anything else but getting out there and doing their job, killing. So let's just hop ahead here, because I want to show you how he masterfully creates fate for these characters. I believe it's right here. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to put me up here, okay? From now on, I will be there, a little bigger. So I'm Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. This guy is amazing. I think the actor's name is Lee Emery. And again, a little quick side story, and I'll stop doing these side stories, hopefully. But a quick side story, that Yen found him, I think, as a security guard at some local power plant or something, like a night security guard, who happened to have been a former drill sergeant. So he had, he walked the walk and talked the talk, and he was not coming in to be an actor. He was coming in to give Stanley actually advice, because Stanley did not have any dialogue written for what drill sergeants say in this opening sequence. So he needed some drill sergeant to come in and tell him, especially all the rhyming and ranting they do at all these folks. And I saw a clip with him, again, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's about this movie, so it's okay. I saw a clip with him recently with Lee, which was from a long time ago, but he's saying on some talk show how being a drill sergeant is basically being a performer. It's a performance, so it's not real. Because you do it over and over again, right? And you're just barking and getting in someone's face, but it is a performance. And I thought that was interesting. It's like, of course, he said you wouldn't do it in public. Like if Sergeant Hartman went out into, New York City, Times Square, and started doing that, they'd think he's a lunatic. But it works in the military. And it is, it's a good performance by a good drill sergeant works wonders. And people often talk about that. Who are the best drill sergeants in movie history? And there's a few, I think Private Benjamin or something, there was a good one. And Forrest Gump is a pretty good one. And this one's the best. So no doubt, hands down, Lee Emery as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman nails it as a senior drill instructor. And what he's doing is he's, again, bringing these now shaved head cadets down to the lowest level possible, the lowest denominator, so he can build them back up as killing machines, as soldiers, as he will note over and over again. I'm going to have to put in my annoying earphones because I don't like wearing the wireless ones. It just doesn't work for me. So I will have a wire hanging out of my head, but that's the only way I can hear what's going on. Okay, so here it's when he initially says the first of a zillion diatribes and belittling comments about each and every one of these folks.
And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be, sir.
Filthy sewers. So their mouths are filthy sewers.
Do you maggots understand that?
And do you maggots understand that? I mean, how terrifying must it be to be like 18 years old and having some guy barking that at you? And again, he was walking the walk and talking the talk from experience. So even though it might be fictional here, it ain't made up. I mean, he probably made it up, but that's the kind of thing he and drill sergeants in general would say, at least at that period of time. I have no idea. I've never been in the military. But boy, this guy feels real, doesn't he? And this is, again, creating fate, right? If I keep looking over this way, by the way, it's because I'm looking at my picture. I don't know why. So I should look at this dot right here, right? Just so you guys don't get distracted by me going like this. And I hope this isn't too distracting. But hey, maybe I'll put an earring on this, ear to make it equal. So let's just cut ahead. I love this line.
You will be a minister of death, praying for war.
You will be a minister of death, praying for war. And again, this is all under the umbrella of creating fate, because we have to see what's going to drive one of these folks to go insane. The motivation for doing what he's going to do, if you haven't seen the movie. But this is the beginning. It's cutting people down, but with fantastic dialogue. I mean, you will be a minister of death praying for war. Youch, right? And this, of course, is followed by the introduction of...
That day, you are pukes.
That is Pyle. Vincent D'Onofrio. Wonderful actor. His first role, by the way, he said the other day when I was up there in Oslo, talking with him, streaming on a big screen, but it was his first role. And like he said, dumb luck, but he started at the top. And ain't that the truth? One of Kubrick's greatest films, and it was his first time in front of a camera. So that's him getting barked at by Lee Emery, the first of multiple abuses that this gentleman's going to put on this fictional character.
You're not even human fucking being.
You are not even human effing beings. I mean, it says it all. That's what our military wants these folks to be. A clean slate. Digitally remove every memory you have, and you're almost like a lean, mean, killing machine robot. No emotions, right? Just go for it. Whew. It's scary stuff. And then it just continues. It's like non-stop.
You are nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit.
And again, I don't know if it's even possible to find out if Lee came up with that one out of his brain or actually somebody wrote it for him, but I have a feeling it was Lee. But you're nothing but unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibian shit. I'm a writer and I couldn't come up with that. No way. I don't even know grabastic is a word, but it sure sounds great. But it is just the flow of, abusive vernacular that just spews out of Lee's mouth throughout this sequence, 35 minutes long, whatever it is unbelievable. So then we cut forward a little bit here to Matthew Modine, the main character of the film, in his first lines, where he is mimicking John Wayne, who's the old famous cowboy actor from last century, early and mid last century, actually. Wonderful voice this John Wayne had, and he mimics him perfectly.
John Wayne, is this me?
Yeah, like a cowboy. And oh boy, you do not want to suffer the wrath of Drill Sergeant Hartman, believe me.
Who said that?
Who said that? So, he has BALLS, as they say in the military. There is no doubt.
Who the fuck said that?
Followed by this one, which I won't play for you, but you can read. Who's the slimy little communist shit, twinkle-toed sea sucker down here? And again, he's rambling this off in like 3 seconds or 2 seconds flat. And that is followed by wonderful Sergeant Hartman actually bequeaths this character's name as Private Joker because he's joking around. So that will stick with him throughout this film. And I mean, imagine that guy looking at you like that with his finger in your face and saying, "You will not laugh, you will not cry." He's completely insane. Granted, it's a performance according to the actor who is playing this role, who used to do it for real. But how would you know that as an 18-year-old? Of course, you might think, oh, I bet he does this to people all the time. But still, you personally getting the wrath of that gentleman would not be fun. So again, to establish his superiority, he tells him to make his don't read the don't read the subtitles there. Oh my God! So to make he is hilarious also in this film. It's dialogue anyways. So finally, what he specializes at is pushing people to the edge, and he does that right here to Private Joker.
Our face.
He gets him to do his war face. You know, that's what you do when you're charging with bayonets in front of you towards the enemy, one against many, getting ready to kill. So then arguably the most important part of this introduction to a character is Leonard, who is, I believe, Leonard Lawrence right here.
Did your parents have any children that lived?
Did your parents have any children that lived? So Sergeant Hartman's first words to this guy, Leonard, for now.
Oh, yes, sir.
I bet they regret that.
And he is not kind at all. And this is the first of like 7 or 8 of these where he just digs in to Leonard. And Leonard will slowly morph and change and, blossom into this cold-blooded killer and really be symbolic of the madness of war. And Kubrick masterfully hasn't even gone over there yet. We haven't even gone to the war, which in this case is Vietnam, of course. So all of this war takes place at home, or South Carolina, but in boot camp, right? So we're still stateside. We're still not even in the war, and he's created a war within the war. And that's what is so masterful, because if you're trying to say war is madness, war is insane, create the madness at the beginning. It's brilliant, and then flip it from there into war like he does after 35 minutes or whenever this thing ends. But I just can't say enough about that. The meticulous, masterful way Kubrick is an artist and paints this wonderful creation of fate for this gentleman, Private Joker, and this gentleman. These three really, they go for a ride right now. Serious, hardcore ride.
You're so ugly
And we learned something from it. War is hell.
you could be a modern art masterpiece.
Okay, so what's really also wonderful about this introduction of Leonard right here to Sergeant Hartman is, what is Leonard doing? He's smiling. He can't help but smile. He is Lenny from Of Mice and Men, I guess, or, a mentally challenged, I don't even know how you say it politically correct these days. He's definitely challenged, okay? If you took his backstory, there's no doubt about it, he's getting picked on. Poor kid, probably since 2nd grade, probably all through high school. He's been that kid who's always been picked on. And here he comes to the Marines, and guess what? He's getting picked on. And at some point, he's gonna snap, right? And that's, again, the beauty of how Kubrick decides to prick him with little pins, a pencil or a pen in the back of the neck until he flips. But how do you do that? How do you create that fate? How do you make that big moment happen? That's what's so cool here. Let's check it out. So after 30 more seconds of really demeaning, derogatory abuse, which I can't even repeat, he finally dubs him, or gives him a name, bequeaths him a name, Gomer Pyle.
On your Gomer Pyle.
For those of you who don't know it, it's probably most of the people under 40 or under 50 even. Gomer Pyle was, I think his actor's name was Jim Nabors, but he had a show back in the 60s called Gomer Pyle, which I believe was a spin-off of the Andy Griffith Show. Oh my God, my television trivia. But I'm pretty sure Gomer was one of those gang. But he was funny. He's this kind of hokey guy. I think in the Marines, he had a tough drill sergeant who was, his head leader, or maybe he's just a colonel or something. But I just remember he's always goofy. He's really goofy and doing funny things, but getting by. And it was a sitcom called Gomer Pyle. So that's where that name came from, okay? And he will be called Pyle for the rest of this short life that he's about to live. Oh, spoiler alert.
Yes, sir.
And again, this shit-eating grin that he has doesn't help him. But he can't help it because he's challenged. There's no doubt about it. He's keeps smiling, and it's not going to help him.
That stupid-looking grin off your face, or I will gouge.
Oh my God. like I said, the diatribes are just ruthless. And again, Vincent's such a wonderful actor. He plays it to the hilt. You know, he's about to burst out laughing because this guy's so insane and he doesn't know how to deal with it. He's not prepared. So of course, you know this guy's moments are numbered because he can't help himself. So he tells him to stop laughing. He says, I can't help it. He closes his eyes because he knows the guy's just going to smack him or something. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And so he tells him to get on his knees.
Now choke yourself.
And choke himself. Again, so this is the first of many humiliating and life-changing moments for this character in this introductory sequence. But him getting choked changes things a little bit.
Are you through grinning?
Sir, yes, sir. And you can see he's already changed a bit.
Paris Island, South Carolina.
So the home of boot camps, Paris Island, South Carolina. But you know, again, you just see how they are cogs in the machine here, right? This little group, this little squad, having to run in unison and copy whatever this madman says. So again, it's Kubrick. So he goes from him having these various formations with this wonderful sing-song thing the drill sergeant has them doing, to incredible cinematography of them, having to climb through this crazy ropes and ladders course. Stunning photography. Try to watch it on the big screen, or at least the biggest screen you have in your house if you can. Not on your iPhone, please. It's got to be on the big screen. That's what he made him for. In fact, actually, that was another aside from the other night, which I think Vincent said, or was it Yen? No, it was Vincent. He said that someone had asked him if, actually some kind of weird question about if, Kubrick actually promoted war by this film or condoned it, and what would he have thought about that? And Vincent was very tactful. He just said, actually, I think if Stanley was here, the thing he'd be the most concerned about would be the projection and the screen, just to make sure it looked and sounded right, because he was a perfectionist, because he was a cinematographer at heart and a storyteller. So, that's why his films are, again, so powerful. They're beautiful to watch and beautiful to hear and beautiful to think about. Kubrick. And we go back to the next day, more formations, because this is what they have to do day after day. There's Pyle trying to learn. In fact, this will be the second of multiple times that he gets, fatally belittled.
Pyle, what are you trying to do to my beloved car?
Sir, I don't know, sir.
This poor guy, he's just getting the full brunt of this guy's wrath. And this is really what's going to break him initially.
You expect me to believe that you don't know left from right?
And again, this drill sergeant doesn't mind using physical harm.
You want to be different?
Sir, no, sir.
Boom. He's messing with the wrong person. He doesn't realize it, but he's going to drive this guy to madness. And to add injury to insult, to make it even worse, to make it exponential. And again, this is Kubrick, the storyteller, coming up with this. He started the punching bag of Pyle from Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, and the demise of both of them, actually, spoiler alert, by having multiple of these interactions which just bring Pyle down to nothing. And the first huge one is right here. The consequence of not being able to tell your left from your right is this. He makes him walk behind him with his pants down, sucking his thumb like a baby, right? So, humiliation rules in this weird world that they have, and it's again, it's a creation by Kubrick, but it certainly is probably very realistic, no matter what country has this kind of military training. You have to belittle the soldiers to build them up, apparently. But this is also driving one of them to madness. And it's important, again, how you get this motivation to get to that or sink to that level and how you show it. So then we cut ahead to where the guys actually have to sleep with their rifles.
This is my rifle. There are many like it, but
always the same. Conformity. Yeah. And the following morning,
4 inches from your chest, Kyle!
the abuse continues.
This is my rifle, this is my gun!
Only in the military. And the choreography of how these folks do their formations, both inside like this and outside, is pure Kubrick. I mean, amazing. And I can't understand what he's saying, but that's, again, I guess, drill sergeant speak. And they're marching in unison, conformity. And again, more Kubrick master shots, nonstop visual glory. And look at that shot. Wow. These guys have to do some pretty rigorous stuff, of course, and Pyle is not rigorous.
What the hell is the matter with you anyway? I'll bet you if there was some pussy up there on top of that obstacle, you could...
Yeah, the two other main characters in this sequence who both wear glasses, which at times can visualize intellectualism, or just that they're bright. It's a visual. But these two characters both show some sympathy for Pyle, and that's important. A little reaction shot here.
Your ass looks like about 150 pounds of chew.
This guy is clearly not pleased with what's happening to this poor kid. He thinks it's not proper.
One pull-up, Pyle, come on, pull!
And he can't even do one pull-up.
Private Pyle, whatever you do, don't fall down!
And this is not where you want to be if abuse is escalating.
Quickly, up and over, up and over!
And this is where it literally gets to its peak, because he's at the top of this towering structure and he can't make it over. He's terrified. And it leads to this.
Are you quitting on me?
Being a quitter. And being a quitter is almost as demeaning as, sucking your thumb, or equally demeaning. So again, this is number 2 or 3, I guess 3 of these just huge moments where this guy, Drill Sergeant Hartman, has just taken him out. Poor Private Pyle. So he's a quitter, which makes Sergeant Hartman even crazier and not let up.
Hey, scumbag, you piece of shit, Private Pyle!
And you can just see he's absolutely losing it. He's trying to get some help from others, or others are trying to help him, but he is absolutely losing it. He's being driven to madness, and we're slowly understanding it. But we don't know. We're also Joe Public. This is just how they do it in the military. They're going to break him somehow. They're going to get him into shape or get him out, right? But there is one third alternative that can happen as well, and we'll see. And just like I was saying earlier about the two guys with glasses right here, the educated ones, so to speak, unlike the uneducated masses. Not to say someone like me who doesn't have glasses is uneducated, but it implies an education, right? But the two guys with glasses are the two that will help him.
Move it! Move it! Move it! Move it!
Right? So these two guys are helping him, whereas the faceless others, who are actually British extras, because this is all shot just outside of London, because Stanley did not like to leave London. That's a different story. But these are all, again, British extras. But the two guys with glasses, the educated guys, sympathetic guys, are sympathetic to Pyle and help him. For now. So this is another huge moment in this sequence, because Drill Sergeant Hartman actually makes Private Joker the new squad leader, so he can help, or try to help poor Gomer Pyle. And it's really important with what's going to happen in the second half of this sequence, because up until now already, I think there's been 6 of these huge moments for poor Gomer Pyle, belittling him and bringing him to nothing. I mean, the first one was when he makes him choke himself, right? When he has that literally shit-eating grin on his face and he makes him choke himself. And then he's in line in the formation and he slaps his left and then his right cheek because he can't tell left from right. And then after that, he has to follow the squad or the formation, sucking his thumb like a big baby. And that's followed by him in this obstacle course thing where he can't get over one log, and then when he climbs the top of that high rope swing structure thing, he can't quite make it over the top and has to quit and go back down. So it's like 5, and then number 6 is right after that, where he's out, in the dirt roads in the jungle, so to speak, running, and he's not running like a normal person at all. He has like his head over to the side, like he's barely standing as Private Joker tries to help him, and Lee Emery, Drill Sergeant Harmon, is in his ear, like yelling and barking and calling him a maggot or whatever he calls him. So it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, boom, gut punch, gut punch, gut punch, up until this moment where, again, the drill sergeant is going to leave him alone for a little while under the care of Private Joker. And with that, I'm actually going to take a break because I need a glass of water, and I'm probably going to continue tomorrow because already this has probably busted the 30-minute limit. And again, it's Kubrick, so that's totally on par. That's totally fine. Kubrick should take hours and hours because every little tiny detail is masterful. So hopefully you stayed along for the ride as my co-pilot. We will definitely continue this awesome storytelling journey into Kubrick's masterful film, Full Metal Jacket, or at least the introduction to Full Metal Jacket, in part 2.